Hi, welcome to a new video dedicated to the new top FPV brushless edition from Eachine. This is the new successor of their former Lizard 95. This is a 105, and here a lot of novelties have been introduced. If you already probably know, there are already a lot of videos appeared on YouTube, at least for some beta version of this model, and I think I received the final version. This is why this video comes only close to 1 month and 1.5 months after the first video from YouTube. So first, the main characteristic of this machine: we have first a F4 board with some stabilized and dampening MCU, okay, very important to observe and reduce the oscillation. Of course, a built-in OSD is here. We have some 1104 motor spinning at 6000 kV but 4S compatible. More, the FPV ring is a little bit different. Not only it's able to broadcast the video signal among 48 channels in the 5.8 GHz band, you can switch between 25 mW or 200 mW and more. You can also record the direct FPV link into 720p resolution at 60 frames per second. So the main question is, this DVR will introduce some latency, some lag, will introduce some frame loss. Okay, that's the main open question, because each former attempt for cheap Chinese company to introduce in the same time a DVR, each time we had such kind of drawback. Anyway, let's continue with the characteristics. On top, you can see the receiver, 3 choices available: a FireSky, a D16 XM Plus, and flash up, so with the possibility to export the RSSI at least on the last channel for a free aux port on the beta flight control board. We have a 4S battery. Okay, so with a 60 C of discharge rate. So as you can see, a lot of new ingredients. The format is a little bit larger than the former 95. It's more or less a 105mm machine. So now it's time to discover the content of this bundle. Okay, so this box comes more or less in the same type of box than the Lizard 95, so more or less the same type of design. So let's open it. Okay, and we will first find the instruction manual, small but printed color, compact, very clear, for example, with all the characteristics. So let's continue with some small technical details. F4 board with dampening box, EMU, 1104 6000 kV, 28 amperes. This is why this machine can support 4S battery. Of course, this shock 600 BLLES is compatible. The props have some 16mm, 4-blade edition. Okay, to be more precise, 2.4-inch props. The camera offers a field of view 130 degrees, a little bit more wider, and is able also to record in 720p resolution. So we have the built-in DVR, okay, that's great, and the video transmitter. The battery is a 4S 550 milliamps power. It's not a LEHV, maybe we could regret that, but it's a simple but classic LiPo. OSD here, okay, we have also some LEDs controllable through beta flight and a buzzer, so everything is great. So we have all the role, all the layout, all the path connection, for example, for the flight controller board. Here is more of a video transmitter, so we have a unique button, 2 rows of light, one to indicate which V-band you are working on, and the upper one is more for the 8 frequencies associated inside the current V-band. And if you long press this unique button, you can switch the output power between 25 to 100 milliwatts, 200 milliwatts, sorry, and when it's done, when you are on 200 milliwatts, so 23 dBm, you have this red light permanently turned on. The list of the channel, here we have the layout of the DVR, and you will see in few instances it's a little bit tricky to insert or retrieve the micro SD card. Anyway, let's continue. The instruction manual is very well done. The binding procedure, first starting with the FSCI model, but generally you have a bind button to be pressed while turning on the machine the first time. The Betafly configuration here, which channel mapping you have to apply, where is the RSSI, okay, very important, and the default flight mode selected. We will see in a few instants in the Betaflight particular parts. Okay, and let's continue. The instruction manual is very well done. So let's start with the accessories. Here is the battery. So it's a 4S model, so more heavy, of course. 60 C of discharge rate, I mentioned 550 milliamps per hour, LiPo, and clearly 60 gram directly. If you need some exact dimension, I can give them in millimeters, 53, almost 54 by something about 30 by 18. Okay, so ending with an XT30 connector, no problem, you will need a specific charger, okay, with a 4S balancer plug. Let's continue. We have a bag with 4 spare props, so 60 millimeters, okay, quadri blade, and the M2X screws associated with, great, and also a small battery Velcro band to completely secure your battery installation. What we have M2 Allen key, okay, to install or remove your props, a screwdriver, for example, to tune the lens and orientation. I will show in a few instants. We have a bag or M2X screws, more longer in the case you want to install the prop guards provided. I will show in a few instants. Also a foam pad to probably to amortize a little bit better, to damp everything better, okay. 2 zip ties here, black, will be very useful to install more vertically and more solidly the 2 antennas associated with the FSCI XM Plus. Okay, and we have finally 4 prop guards. So you will need to attach them with the M2X screws I showed you in few instants ago, and each of them weighs about 1.5 grams. So if I had the 4 battery prop guard, close to, yes, if the weight is correct, 6 grams plus the M2X screws, we are close to 10 grams more added. Okay, so first things, I will give you immediately the weight of this machine without the battery, but at least with the battery strap installed. So this one already turned about 85 grams, and I'm comparing with the Lizard 95, the former edition. Okay, we'll remove the lens cap to be more fair. This one was only 66 grams more or less. Okay, so 66 by 0.3 versus 85. So we have close to 19 grams more heavy for this one. Wow, much more heavier. So it's close to be a 30% more heavier. So it's a lot. But this one run in 4S. So comparatively, we will see if this extra weight will be completely compensated by this extra amount of power of the 4S setup. So first, the frame is unique, strange, because it's not a full lower carbon based one. We have different elements. Okay, so we have this lateral one is to reinforce the arms. Okay, so in case of frontal lateral crash, most of the energy, the arm won't bend like this and crack here thanks to this lateral arm. They are relatively thin for carbon, something about, yes, 1.5 millimeters in carbon. And you can see that the arm is more vertically, okay, and I can give you also the thickness of them. More wider, something about 2.4 millimeters, and they are installed in kind of some 4 aluminum brackets. Okay, each of them are holding two vertical arms like this, and completely secure with two tiny screws. Okay, so it's a mixture between aluminum bracket with some arms. These brackets are themselves hooked to the main upper towers. Okay, so this lateral carbon, which are exactly something about 1.4 millimeters. So okay, so the aluminum carbon bracket are, as you can see here, locked and associated with this vertical one, themselves associated to the arm. This is a strange structure, and more, look that on the extremity of the arm, the motors are not installed on the carbon directly. It's normal because we have a vertical arm here, but we have a kind of two other brackets taking into a sandwich this bracket, where we have the motor support, okay, themselves installed with two normal screws. So a more complex structure. I think it will take time to disassemble this machine. Look to the lower frame. This one is reinforced by another main plate, very thin, something I cannot really measure, maybe something about 1.5 millimeters. Okay, and this one is protecting the lower part of the machine. So now let's have a look to the main electronic, and it's a little bit complex. I will start more with the rear. When you will receive it, you will have detached, but with some foam tape behind this small module where we can find the two LEDs programmable and already pre-programmed correctly on Betaflight 3.2.2, sorry, and centrally a buzzer. Great. Okay, and you will just need to install it more lower to be sure that the prop won't be in contact. Okay, so try to make some spinning these props as well, this one, to be sure where to install correctly this one. I don't think the tape will survive a long time, and more or less it will be more problem, so you will need to find a permanent solution to attach it. Anyway, we can see on the rear we have this strange kind of mini cloverleaf antenna. Right? I don't have any information about the type of circular polarization, if it's the right one or left one, but anyway, it's attached to the video transmitter here on this upper but up flip down board via a micro FL connector, IPX connector. So that's great. If you need to change the antenna for more linear one, whatever you want, you will be able. So my first advice is probably to add some hot glue here to be sure that during a crash, even the antenna won't be pop up, or the antenna connector won't be pop up from this main male connector. And especially if you are running everything at 200 milliwatts, you can cook immediately your video transmitter. So let's continue. On top we have the receiver here. This is the Fierce Sky with two antennas, so improving clearly the range. This small bind button, so as any Fierce Sky receiver, you will need to press it, keep it and hold it pressed while powering. You can use, for example, either the LiPo, or you can power with the micro USB cable and use a power bank, for example. It's a good thing because the power bank is able to power the receiver and the video transmitter, so that's great. So it's a little bit more easy sometimes to use a power bank to do the binding procedure, in my point of view. The antennas are, well, not super well correctly installed. Be sure to install more of the zip ties around here, okay, and then install and use H-shrink to completely secure their installation. They will be more further from any prop contact, so that it will be a little bit better. So we have here, this is probably the main novelty. This is the DVR board. So we have on the right side here, you have a button where you can turn on and turn off the recording. You have to know that if you already inserted a micro SD card, I will show where, and your power, it will automatically engaging the auto recording. So be aware to not forget to press this button at the end of your race to completely save your recorded file, okay? And each time you want to save something, be sure. When is recording, you will have a blue light front here flashing, okay? And when it's solid, it means that it's not recording, okay? So where to introduce the micro SD card? And it's on the left side, and I have somewhere a micro SD card, and you will see it's a little bit tricky for the insertion as well for the to remove it. So you will need to look at here just above this ribbon cable, okay? For the MCU, we have a small spaces where you can see here inverted your micro SD card. It means that you have the you need the micro SD card connector in front of you. You will need to insert gently like this. So the first time you probably be wrong and insert not correctly, not in the right hook, okay, right slot, and then just push it. You don't have any click, just like this. When it's correctly inserted, the micro SD card just be above, should be a little bit more longer than the flight controller board, okay, when it's in the final position. It's tricky, and it's even more to retrieve it. You will need a tweezer like this, okay, to collect it. It's like a surgeon, okay, and try to extract it like this, and after a couple of seconds you will be able to extract. It's not really possible with nails to pinch it, and my point of view, it's so close from this small battery. No, it's not the battery strap, it's the EMU cable, ribbon cable. So it could be very, very delicate and dangerous to not damage it while extracting. So in the design, for me, is not a good point. So let's continue. You have the control here, as I mentioned, and here we have on the lower the flight controller, the F4, with the micro USB port on the right side. No problem to insert with the props. That's great. The other, you can show all the connection, okay? So one word I forgot to mention about the video transmitter is not, as far as I know, ERC Trump or Smart Audio compatible. So as far as I know, or at least is not pre-cable like this. So there is no possibility to tune some, for example, the output power from your OSD command or the video frequency. So you will have to manually do it, and thanks to the instruction manual, you will be able to select as well by simple type like this. So what I regret also is the how to access to this button. You will need a tweezer or the screwdriver provided in the bundle here, okay, and gently short press to cycle. You can hear a click, okay, to cycle between the 8 frequency inside the V band. Long press more than 2-3 seconds, okay, then release the button, and you will see that the V band LEDs, the blue one, will shift from the left, sorry. So what I regret is maybe the V band selection. So when you long press, it's not automatically shifting to the left. You have to way to release the button, okay? So you don't have, and maybe you can be wrong because you are waiting such feedback, and maybe you can press more than 10 seconds and change the output power by accident. So could be a little bit more clever in my point of view. So if you already saw a lot of video about this wizard, you know that out of the box, as soon as you're inputting just a medium input throttle, a lot of vibration could be filled, and a lot of investigation have been done, start mounting, tuning the PIDs, installing some much better dampening the MCU. Nothing works except finally Albert came, found the problem, and it was the camera, okay, inside the housing was moving, okay, so there was a small gap here. So I want to show you a little bit the how to, for example, to down tilt or up tilt. Use this screwdriver, use this more lateral, okay, this one. You can see that we have kind of a room where we can slide or down tilt or up tilt the camera. So when I release a bit the screws, now you can see I can down tilt horizontally, up till something about, I would say, 40%. Now I tune it a bit the orientation for my flight skill. Okay, I'm not a super great acro flyer, so for me 30% will be enough. Okay, be sure to well secure the camera. Okay, like this, and squeeze it. And another problem collected by Andy RC was about the amperage reading, and it was linked with about connection of the main lead powers, okay, to the flight controller. And in fact, it was not able, it was out of the box. I don't know if it's fixed or not, but the reading was not correct. And you have to know that on the default, you will see in the, if you understand with the beta flight configuration, the OSD among the OSD information, you have the amperage reading. Okay, so it's always good, especially when you have an amperage meters. So one word about I said about the camera. I forgot to mention this camera is able to broadcast the signal either in pale or in NTSC, and to switch between the two modes, by default you are in NTSC. You have to keep press this button on the DVR board, keep it pressed while turning on the machine, and it will after a couple of seconds switch to pale. Okay, so by default you are in NTSC, and I will leave it in NTSC. So I want to show you a little bit of the result of the OSD information. Okay, so I will power. So you can see we have the light well tuned out of the box, and I will turn on these FPV monitors. Okay, and we have, okay, sorry, I will just, okay, show you the different result. We have the amperage reading. As you can see here, we have very low value. I'm not sure is really fixed about the amperage consumption. We have the RSSI, actually is not bound. We have the voltage per cell and the total voltage reading, as well as the flight mode and the craft name. So maybe some little optimization in the OSD layout can be done. So here I want to show you, I inserted the micro SD card and the blue light is flashing, so I'm recording. So don't forget to press stop, okay, to stop recording. And it seems that, we will see that, okay, that the latency is pretty good, at least without recording. Let's do it without with recording. So now it's flashing. The latency while recording is excellent. So no real problem. It's the first time I see that, so very good point, Eachine. You find a DVR board not introducing really a huge amount of latency and frame rate drop. Really a good board, okay? And definitively this one, if can be scaled to 10 ATP resolution, could be a real bonus and hotcake seller. Okay, so now it's time to show you a little bit the binding procedure, okay, and then the beta flight configuration. Okay, let's start the binding procedure. So I prepare my jumper, for example, a model, okay, and with the FreeSky X protocol associated with the D16. So be ready to bind, no particular VFREC. Fine VFREC tuning must be done, okay, and be ready to be bind by overlay the binding, and you just need to press enter in this case. So as you can see, I plug a USB and a power bank not completely inserted, so I'm ready to bind, and I will use this small tweezer. Okay, I will show you like that. It will be more easy. So I will press the bind button, okay, then insert. I will have to be pressed. The bind button. You have also a red and a small permanent green light. Then I will press the enter, and after a couple of seconds, you have this red light flashing fast. You can release both. Okay, and if everything is okay, you can turn off everything, turn on again the quadcopter, turn on the machine, and we have a green permanent light, as you can see. Let's check that if there are some telemetry send. In theory, the XM Plus is not able actually to do some telemetry, but we will see in telemetry we have nothing except basic 5 volts, but which is the default value. So it's normal the XM Plus is not able to send also by telemetry the RSSI through the radio to your controller. Only the CSR is able to do that, but not with some not directly on the last channel. You have to use a more tricky way, okay, to send first the RSSI to a radio, and by channel forwarding resend to the flight controller board will display then on the OSD, so it's a little bit more tricky sometimes. Anyway, now it's bound, and let's check now the Betaflight configuration. So let's check the default Betaflight configuration. We press connect, and as you already may know, it's strongly advised to dump all your default settings. So by typing in the CLI panel the dump command and then copy, okay, all elements, you can see that we have an omnibus F4 micro version, so with the Betaflight 3.2, now the branch 3.3 is just available, okay, but we will copy whatever are the default settings. Copy and then paste into a text file and save it, and if you need to restore some default configuration, copy from these text files, paste into this CLI command, and don't forget to end with the save command. Now let's check the default Betaflight. Okay, I will repress connect, and let's check. We have a 0, X0, and we have also on this F4 board a barometer. So maybe it's useful or not, whatever. And actually the CPU load is about 6%. So the port. We have, of course, the USB VSP for the Betaflight, and the actual serial receiver, actually in FierSky S-Bus connection, is on the UART3, so be sure to have the serial turned on on the UART3. Let's go to the configuration. We have a Quad X Classic. G-Shock 600 is tuned and turned on by default. That's great. Motor is announced to stop, okay, and we have the system with both the gyros are tuned to 8 kHz, as well the main PID loop. Barometers is turned on. You can disable it eventually, but actually is turned on. We have effectively a serial based receiver, and especially using the S-Bus protocol. So what we have as features the LED strip to handle and with, for example, the turning the lights and the throttle, for example, and the OSD. Okay, and to all around are set. That's great. So let's continue with the power and battery. We have some onboard reading, okay, and the default scaling parameter seems to be a very classic, and the minimum cell voltage, the maximum, and the warning one. In terms of PID, we have the classic from the Betaflight 3.2, so at least some small optimization for the rate can be done. So usually I like when it's turning faster, so something like this, about for example 900 degrees per second, and for the YA more something linear, so and applying something about the value 33, which turn around 600 degrees per second for the YA. All the level strengths, etc., are set to the default value for the angle and horizon. Okay, since the barometer is turned on, we have some specific value here, but you can be disabled. The PIDs and the weight seems to be more or less classic, as well as the anti-gravity gain and threshold. The TP is also normal, so I will save it. Okay, and now the receiver, I will turn on my receiver. Okay, and by default it was set on the Spectrum Gogner GR channel mapping, so starting with this throttle. So if you are a Taranis, don't change anything. If you have a jumper, you will need more to select the Fierce Sky one. So with the first channel is the aileron, then the elevator, throttle, and roller 1, 2, 3, 4. So if everything and the binding procedure is correct, you have something about all your channel should be about 1500. Okay. The throttle is here, okay, and be sure to, if you don't harm the machine with a switch, that your throttle will go below 1550. We have no deadband or no yaw deadband. I will apply some. It's always good to apply some for avoid some extra jitter. One important thing with the FastSky D16 receiver, you can see that this one is moving at least according to the RSSI values on the aux12. So be sure to have selected the aux12 here to be sure to send this information on your OSD. So we'll save. Okay, and now let's check the default flight mode. So we have by default an arming on the aux1. Okay, the angle is set to when the three-way switch is in the middle position. So when it's on the upper, we are in acro, and when we are in the lower, we are in acro plus air mode. Okay, and you can see here we have a beeper on aux3. So what I will do will be a little bit more complex. I will use more. Okay, so for me is this one is correct. I will use more the arming when my three-way switch aux1 it will be completely in a lower position. I will use more of the beeper when this one is in the middle position. Okay, so I will use more of the X1. Okay, I will save it. So when I am in the middle position, I will ring the buzzer, and when I'm in the lower, I armed. Okay, so and the aux2 is associated with the flight mode, so I will use something more in the upper position, something more user friendly, beginner friendly with angle mode. Okay, and then turn more into acro and acro plus air mode when the switch will be completely in lower position. So I will keep like this. Let's check that in acro and then air mode. So sounds great, everything is good. It was more or less well configured out of the box. Let's check the default OSD. And as I said previously in the main videos, the camera is by default in NTSC, so I will keep it in metric. And what I will do is to keep the RSSI value, which is somewhere here. Okay, the main battery voltage, I will keep it. And the crosshair as well, the flight mode, I will remove the craft name. The and for me is not also necessary, or I will more apply something more down like this, a bit push under the corner, the reading. And I think this one, which is the normal cells, which is somewhere, average cell voltage. Okay, I will remove it to keep only the one about the battery voltage. So for me will be my new layout. Okay, I will save it. And what is missing is the flight mode is here, the RSSI is here, the battery is here. So everything is here. I will maybe more center of the reading here. Okay, so let's check now the LED strip. And you can see that the first LEDs is set on throttle. Okay, and as well an indicator. Okay, so be aware of the 0. Okay, the 0 is really for the right one, and the 1 is more for the left. And as you can see on the for the left LEDs, we have exactly will variate according to the throttle input and will flash fast when you are also applying a turning. 2 LEDs, maybe we can regret the former Lizard got 4, but it's already not bad. So we can save everything, okay, and go now test if I got a fixed Lizard 105 S version, and first make some FPV racing. Welcome to the demo flight of the Lizard 105S, and compared to the my first part of the video, unfortunately, after some small tests in my garden, I observed some vibration in the camera flux, so I had to apply the hardware cam trick, and I installed some tape around the lens and insert everything gently into the camera housing. Be aware to not break the ribbon cable of the camera, okay? Go gently. So how to proceed? You will have to remove these 1, 2, 3, 4 screws. You will have to remove the plastic bar blocking partially the camera on the camera housing. Then I tape around the lens, okay, and insert gently. I push at maximum, okay, and then the more tricky is to reinstall this blocking bar, the plastic one, and to insert these 2 lateral screws. So it's a little bit tricky, and I hope the result will be not so bad, okay. For the best performances, it's good to apply some more kind of flexible material, a kind of rubber band, some stuff like this to amortize all transmitted vibration. So we'll fly my favorite spot. There is a lot of water around because it was raining, and here we are not accustomed with so much rain anyway. North parts of Europe are full of snow, so we can't really complain. So let's engage more in lost condition to show you the punch out of this machine, and then more in FPV. Let's go. Okay, so we record the FPV footage while in lost condition, whatever, and harm the machine. Okay, it's harm, and let's go. So you can hear that the motor's still trembling like this. Anyway, be ready. 1, 2, 3, go. Wow. Yes, there is a lot of power. Let's see. Well, yes, incredible. Let's see if on the FPV video, I hope the oscillation, the vibration transmitted on the camera housing by the camera housing are limited now. Let's see. No. Wow, very nice punch out. So today is particularly windy, so I have to be aware. It's fast. What I regret is the absence of white LEDs for us, but it's an FPV racer. Okay, I will now land, disarm, and stop recording here.
Yeah, we are in the place to be.
First conclusion about this Lizard 105. Well, I didn't receive really the final version, but whatever. The camera fix is relatively easy to do and takes maybe 5 minutes maximum to do. And as you saw in the camera footage, despite with high input throttle, almost no vibration in the video, that's great. And this machine is really great, really I like it. Super flyable. Maybe you didn't notice, but the wind is relatively strong here, with some gust above 40-50 kilometers per hour, and I didn't feel anything. These little things got a huge amount of power. It's very well tuned out of the box. It's a real great acro flyers. Okay, and the 720p recording are great. Just few maybe negative point. Observe that the brightness or the light sensitivity of this camera is not among the best. Okay, I had in the past, so I don't know if it's associated with the CMOS camera, I don't know, but I didn't feel the level of the brightness very high, so probably you will need to adjust on your favorite mask or goggles this level to enjoy a more brightening view. But except that, this machine is screaming like hell and really enjoyable. The flight time is really not so bad. Another negative points, and as mentioned by NDRC, the milliampere reading on the OSD are wrong. Okay, so you will need to resolder the main lead cable more to the front because they are there. The right way to connect this battery lead cable to read correctly the amperage. Whatever, you can remove this information from the OSD. You can live without any problem, so no soldering job, because you will have to remove all the electronic towers. I'm not sure it's really worth it. So if you want this machine, be sure to apply the fix. Probably the final version will be directly with out of the box. Okay, and really an enjoyable machine as soon as you do this fix. Without the vibration on the transmitted video is very annoying. Okay, I hope you enjoy this new video. If you like it, please sub it, and see you next time. Bye bye.